Now, for more insight into this upcoming historic meeting, we're joined in the studio by our current affairs commentator, Mr. Victor Gao Zhikai. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, it's been 66 years since the year 1940. First such meeting to happen in all these decades. Tell us more about the timing and what could be the key messages coming out of this meeting.
Well, indeed, the status quo across the two sides of the Taiwan Strait was a direct result of a very bloody civil war, which happened after the end of the Second World War. And ever since 1949, the two sides of the Taiwan Strait were caught up very much in the middle of a Cold War. Mainland China was very much in the Soviet bloc to start with, and then it became more independent, but it was very much of a socialistic country, whereas Taiwan was very much within the sphere of influence of the United States. But since the end of the 1970s, and increasingly so in the recent years, the cross-strait integration is happening as we speak, and by now bilateral trade volume reached more than $185 billion, and on any daily basis there is more than 1 million people from Taiwan living and working in mainland China. Lots of people go to visit Taiwan from mainland China. So this is accompli, the bilateral economic and commercial integration works for the benefit of people both in Taiwan and in mainland China. What's missing by now is this summit meeting. That is, the top leader in mainland China, the top leader in Taiwan would meet in person and shake hands and look at each other's eyes and share their views about the future trend of the cross-strait relations on the 7th in Singapore. And I think the timing cannot be more important, because right now China, South Korea and Japan are talking about the trilateral free trade agreement. TPP is taking shape as we speak. What of Taiwan? Whether it eventually will join, the trilateral trade agreement involving the three largest Northeastern Asian countries, whether it will go in the direction of TPP, etc. If Taiwan does not get its proper position one way or another, it will be stranded. And I think this summit meeting will not only talk about trade and commercial relations between the two sides of the strait, it will also inevitably talk about the political direction of the future trend. And I think this bodes very well for the cross-strait relations, and it will really generate and instill a level of confidence and trust, so that people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait will feel more comfortable about the political future. There is no need to rush through to any conclusion, and I think the leaders in mainland China, in Taiwan, Mr. Xi Jinping and Mr. Ma Ying-jeou, have really demonstrated the highest level of pragmatism and realism in dealing with this particularly important summit meeting, and in cutting down on all the protocol and really focus on the substance. And the substance is to keep peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait area, to make sure people on both sides will benefit from enhanced confidence and trust, and will engage with each other for mutual benefit. That's the very, very important essence of this summit meeting.
Well, Victor, as you just mentioned, this very good and sound momentum in cross-strait relations has been accumulating in the past decade. So how will this relationship develop further from this point on, and how can this development benefit people on both sides of the strait? Definitely,
the summit meeting takes place against this background of decades of integration, and I think going forward with this very important summit meeting, and this will not be the only summit meeting. Once we have, this first summit meeting, I'm pretty sure there will be, second, third, etc. And the meetings between the two top leaders and Taiwan will happen very frequently. And eventually, maybe there will be a joint communique, there will be a big statement, for example, and there will be a more enhanced process for a eventual political solution. And I would say this really creates a much better, a much more assured atmosphere for peace and stability for people in Taiwan and in mainland China, so that they will have much greater freedom and much greater liberty in looking at how to enhance the trade and economic relations. If you just imagine a situation where there is a lack of political trust and confidence between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait, that will set the limit to how much economic relations there will be, because trade and economic relations on the one hand, and political trust and confidence on the other hand, should go forward hand in hand. So this summit meeting will provide that missing link, and we will really, pave the ground for a much more solid cooperation in the trade and economic side. And I think people in Taiwan just need this, because economic recovery is not very much in good shape, and the economy in Taiwan is still not yet completely out of the woods yet. They need to find a new momentum for...
And this momentum could be mutually beneficial.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Our current affairs commentator, Mr. Victor Gao Zhikai.